because we're making sure that sound is there for 30 seconds because, yeah, it's going to be exciting.
All right.
hmm You hear the music?
I do, and all I see is the countdown.
And good. Now, one. Now we can get started with the count. With everything is now going. Let's take that off. And we're done with that.
There we
All
go.
right. So we've made it.
Uh,
We made it. And this is pretty good. Oh, yeah. Where's my screen? It just went away from me. Oh, there we go. All right. So we're on chapter 3. How you feeling today about this?
I'm doing very well, thank you. You know, we're on it's the 6th day of Tawede. You
Uh-huh.
know, our spiritual pilgrimage is starting to deepen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Life is well,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more than an honor and a pleasure to be here. Okay,
Ashe.
thank you.
Tawede has been getting really good. I hope that we get some time so we can start covering more of that before the 1st of January.
Okay.
Um, so we're here. We've made it here, and I want to do a quick introduction.
Hey, bring your camera down a little bit. Your face is almost covered with
Oh,
your.
thanks for telling me.
There you go.
How about now? Pretty
Yes,
good.
much better.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let me get started here. I hope that everybody can see us in the live and let us know that you guys are here with us. Abora Boye Boshishe, peace and endless blessings. It is I, Ifa Kolade. I am your host. I am the mother and storyteller, artist of Sacred Waters Healing Temples, the home of divine mysticism and ancestral medicine, assisting us into a cosmic rebirth for the ascension of our true selves. And today we have the wonderful honor of being joined with Oloye Ifa Karade. He is an esteemed elder, scholar, and author of the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts, and his work has shaped generations of practitioners and seekers who desire authentic, grounded understanding of Isheshe and the Yoruba spiritual overview. And today we are diving into chapter 3, Love of Young Love, set within inside a palace of Ajay Okuta. And we already got through chapters 1 and 2, so hopefully you guys can keep up with us. But this is coming out of the book of A Place of Nights, War, and Resurrection, and it has been amazing. It's been amazing. He's been taking us through it and just kind of like opening up our Oris with understanding of Ifa from a more from a literature aspect of things. And
Mhm.
so um, I find that through literature, a lot of times people overlook it, and but there's a lot of things that you can find just by reading more literature and incorporating literature into your Isheshe practice to better understand our day to day, our realities and stuff. So in chapter 3, we meet Princess Amina standing between her heart's desire and responsibility. She swears that love can't be wrong, but Queen Morimi, the king's senior wife, warns that love without maturity can consume you. Amina's struggle is bigger than romance and spiritual, it is political. And because her body and future are tied to royal alliances, she's going through a whole lot. And it's important that we all follow through with this because we understand, we want to find a great understanding that we don't want to overlook, right? Oloye?
Absolutely, absolutely, Pakolade.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I really appreciate what you said about literature
mm-hmm,
and the importance thereof, because in always, always, okay, and always, we are impacted by literature,
mm-hmm,
from a movie that we watch, conversations that we have about what's going on in the world.
mm-hmm.
Somebody's writing it down,
Yes.
you know, and somebody's reading what has been written. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a transmission of worldviews and ethos. There's a transmission of what is accepted and what is unaccepted. There's a transmission of how we even relate to ourselves physically and metaphysically. You know, we study the written word, and
Yeah.
there's nothing new about that. We're going back tens and thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are placed in positions where reading and literature is not important to us,
Mm-hmm.
then we are more apt to be manipulated,
Mm-hmm.
you know, by propaganda, biases, and prejudices that
Mm-hmm.
are in anything from a history book to religious text, you know. And to say, if you're not working towards seeing, then you're blinded by not reading, not being involved in literature. And the primary reasons that I've written the numerous books that I have, and in particularly this one, is
Mm-hmm.
to give us another way of seeing, to break free from the conditioned mind state that, well, being involved in a Risha and Ifa is like this, is like this, is
Yeah.
like. And my message is, my teachings are, that's a conditioned response.
Mm-hmm.
So in A Place of Nights, War and Resurrection, I take life by the horns, you know, and say, yeah, it's a struggle. It's a battle, you know. The ups and downs and the horrors and the glory that we face, are ever present.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see ourselves as heroic. We don't see ourselves as going through all that, you know.
Yes.
And it separates us from the human experience,
Mm-hmm.
and it keeps us chained to a subhuman perspective, in terms of life and how we perceive life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite a read.
Mm. It really is.
Hmm.
And we have some really good parts of the book that we're going to start covering today. And so let's get started with that. How do you want to start? You want to lead with the reading or do you want me to lead? How you want to go with it? With the first part.
Well, I love the sound of your voice. Let's start with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, we're in chapter three. Yeah, chapter three, young love. And this particular part of the story took place 3 months ago. So if you've been following along, you know about the last two chapters. And so this is the beginning. This was before, and in this part you'll understand, why everything has come to be with young Amina. Okay, so 3 months ago, a place of Ajayakuta. But yeah, I love him, and no one, not even father, can keep me away from him, Amina said, sobbing. She rolled over on the bed and buried her face in the pillow. I can hardly contain myself. You're in love. Tell me, child, what do you know of this love? That has been said by Queen Morimi. That's
Yes.
the king's first wife, senior wife.
Hmm.
Yeah, so Princess Amina says, I know that love brings happiness. How can the way I feel be so wrong? What error could be made by following one's heart? I felt that same way when I first met your father. He passed through the village, and I knew he was the soul I longed for. I also caught his eyes, and after the arrangements were set and the bride price paid, I became one of many lesser wives. Then I gave birth to you. You stole his heart. He placed you above all his children, and I became his senior wife, the Ayana. Iya, I accept what you say is true, but I must venture out and find my own love. I'm of age. Yes, you are of age, but not maturity or bearing. You're a princess of the royal house of Ajakuta, and you must save yourself for marriage to the prince of Damot. Diamot. Our lineage depends on it. But I have no love for this boy, Amina said. Who'd force a marriage? What power does anyone hold over another? I won't submit. I won't.
Hmm.
And I we
Okay.
don't even live in those times anymore where people are doing arranged marriages. But
Stop there. Oh, yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do.
yes, we do in other countries. You're right. I'm only thinking about mine.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it happens in this country as well.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Tell me.
All
Tell me
right.
about it.
Quiet as a cat. Well, at another day and time, but I invite our listeners and those who are reading the book to um, study the topic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find across the board, okay, that in one shade or another, arranged marriages continue to happen globally,
Mm,
globally. So it's not nothing new. It might be dressed up a little differently,
mm,
where parents get together and determine that, you know, our son should marry your daughter, our family should, combine
mm-hmm.
their forces and their resources,
Oh,
you know, in order to move forward. And on the flip side, it's like, no, I don't want you to marry somebody out of your race. I don't want you to marry somebody who's, broke. You know what I mean?
true.
I want you to marry someone who's like A, B, C, and D.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there are, like real concrete forms of it. Like I can think of India as well as various countries uh,
Mm-hmm.
in Africa,
Mm-hmm.
where people still take who you marry as a part of, again, an alliance, more so than, oh, I love this person, I don't love this person, but no, you have to do this to keep a kind of a legacy strong, to keep a certain level of socioeconomic bearing
Oh
together.
yeah. Now that you say that, it does remind me. I've seen certain celebrities do that, especially when
How so?
they.
Celebrities? Hmm.
Yeah, I'll see certain celebrities mentioning how they choose or prefer, certain athletes of a certain age, because it helps to build more football players or more basketball players.
Hmm.
They're hoping that it would bring about a child that'll do that
Well,
in this
yeah,
day and time.
and so like on the deep kind of unsettling part of that,
Mm-hmm.
um, we talk about enslavement in a sense
Yeah,
where there's breeding
yeah,
of human beings going on,
yeah.
you
I
know.
agree.
So again, different shades, but
Mm-hmm.
there. Not 100%, but not 100% of people were doing it back in time either. But especially amongst royalty,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and people of high, position.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely intact. Okay. All right, but moving on.
But
So
yes,
what else?
before I don't want to slip away from this passage either because she's
Yeah.
talking about love. Okay,
Okay. Not a
go ahead.
problem.
Go ahead.
So you want me to talk
I
further
thought you
about?
was I thought you was gonna go away from this passage, but I was just letting
Oh,
you know.
no, 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 no. I want you to go as deeply as you want to, because see, this is the intro, okay,
Mhm.
to what's really happening, and kind of sets the stage, the backstory, if you will, for
Mhm.
the entire novel.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you see anything else in here, okay, then
Mhm.
then let's
I
con-
just find it to be very interesting
mhm,
that she's very naive in a sense. She's not trying to hear what her mom is saying. Well, it could be perceived as naive, by not wanting to accept the wisdom of your mom and being more like rejected or you know guard
rebellious.
yeah guarded rebellious by what she's saying. um and in this day and time, I know many young ladies, young men that do the same thing. like they want to go off into the world, they want to go off and see new things.
Hmm.
They don't want to take on that responsibility of being in power or being in position because they are of, you know, coming from this family, this background, or whatever.
Hmm.
Whether it's in um, them wanting to just explore and go learn things,
Right.
want to have a social life,
Hmm.
that's outside of the tradition of IFA, ISESE, or wanting to be friends and socialize with people,
Yeah.
that's outside of, or even down to like racism and stuff that goes on. I choose to be in a interracial marriage, and then you have stuff like that going on. Um, but yeah, she's very guarded from what her mom is telling her, and I wonder, like, you know, what's to come.
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight this part because I was like, why, So
Yeah.
let me bookmark this part so that later on in the story we can figure out why.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, I think you touched on something very deep here because most of us are like that. I mean, every generation has a way of kind of rebelling and on every level. Now, we may not hear about it on upper levels,
Hmm.
but you can almost see it in the behavior of a lot of their kids.
Hmm.
So, you know, uh, rich kids from other uh, demographics, they carry on.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yes, they do.
They are like ultra rebellious, because
Hmm.
they have money, means, and they have privilege, you know. Uh, but uh, focusing more on Amina and tradition, here we find, especially when she's born, she has such an impact on her father that the father places this baby girl, you know,
Hmm.
above all his other children. And Amina's mother, Maremi, is now elevated from a lesser wife to the senior wife.
Hmm.
Now, knowing people the way we know people and women the way we know women,
Oh
I,
yeah.
you can see some stuff getting ready to happen.
Hmm.
Like who is she to be coming in here? You know what I mean? And but see, it's not Maremi as much as it is. There's something special about Amina.
Oh yeah.
She's having that effect, and she doesn't even know it. You know,
Hmm.
so she's bringing change to the world from birth.
That's interesting too because like in the previous chapters we find that Amina is the one that has to deliver a message.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even in this part of the passage here,
Hmm.
Queen Morimi is not even talking about that aspect of things. She's not talking about,
Mm.
her ability to see spirit or connect with spirit or being
Exactly.
connected with that responsibility. She's only seeing it from the aspect of her, the kingdom,
Right.
you know,
Right.
that village.
Good point. Good catch.
Hmm. Let's go to the next one.
Hmm.
I find that also to be interesting because most people do come into the practice and they don't have the sight of gifts. They don't have the sight to see those that come into Ifa traditions to
Yeah.
be that the person coming in, other than themselves, have a gift that's greater than them.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
Okay.
So now we're here and it says Queen Morimi. I'm going to add Queen because that's who she is. So
Okay.
Queen Morimi held her tongue. She didn't think her rival knew so much about her daughter's intimate moments. She didn't like it or the trouble she intuitively knew would come.
Hmm.
Adefemi leaned forward. You do know she's promised to Prince Saba of Diamant, and that the alliance will solidify the kingdoms. You do know, as a princess, she must be a virgin. On her wedding's night, consummation must bear witness of blood. If the arrangement isn't honored, I and this kingdom will be looked upon with contempt. Moremi took her husband's rage personally. I know. Amina spoke up. Why must I marry someone I don't care for? Why must I give my heart to another if it belongs to me? I
Hmm.
should be free to do what I want to do. Hasn't your mother raised you to know your position? The king questioned. You're the chosen one. You'll bring two powerful kingdoms together and bind us. You should be honored and in preparation, not standing here defending a heart you know nothing about. You're no longer a child to be indulged and spoiled. You're right about one thing. I'm no child. I'm no longer a child, nor am I a helpless slave or concubine. Stumped her foot. No, so wait, did I skip over something? Yeah. I love um,
Asukile.
Azukile. I felt it when our eyes met, and I wanted to feel more, and I will have it. She stumped her foot, turned, and rushed out. Ujib peered. Now, Ujib is the second wife.
Second wife, yes.
Ujib is the second wife to the king. So I should have added that, but well, we
Mhm.
know Ujib is the second wife. So Ujib peered into her co-wife's hurt. You'd better go after her. Queen Morimi saw the insidious smile behind the oh so caring face. Though she was infuriated behind beyond measure, her daughter was, as she always been, her greatest priority. With the bearing of a true queen, she went to confront her child. The distraught princess entered her room, slammed the door, and sat in front of the mirror, taking a pair of scissors to cut off the strands of her hair to her elaborate braided locks. She then dug the sharp points into her scalp. Tricklets of blood, tricklets of blood ran down her face and mixed with her tears. Streaks and stains defaced the
Mhm.
maculage and accentuated her youthful beauty. Her soft features twisted and contorted with anguish, anguish that only a woman in love could bear. So she's a bit crazy.
Well,
She gets angry, rather, to go
well,
take, scissors to her hair, to her scalp.
what I've seen it too many times. I've worked in position, I've worked in middle and high schools. I've seen young girls do, some things because of their lack of understanding their emotions. You know, they'll fight each other. You know what I mean? They'll cut each other out. You know, they'll self harm themselves,
Yeah.
all because of relationship issues. So I know it to be real. And I've raised daughters. It's like, come on, you know, this is not far fetched. um, and I am writing from like real life experiences, and that's why I think people as they read it they're like, dang,
Hmm.
because if we don't watch out, you know, it can even become suicidal, you know, or lead to drug addiction and out. You know what I mean? All because our hearts aren't fulfilled. Our hearts aren't embraced. You know. It's interesting, and it just doesn't happen to young girls. It happens to the guys too.
Hmm.
You know, um, but in this case, again, my heart goes out to the young sisters, the young women folk, because it's just too it's just too much in front of me. I see it too often.
Hmm.
you know. So I want to address it, and what better way than through the eyes of a babalao, through the eyes of a high priest, you know, not just someone who wears the title, but someone who's waging peace in a very warlike place, emotions and thoughts about oneself, attempting to balance, this new emotion called love for a mate, you know. So it, it's
If,
it, it gets deep.
if someone was to come to you
Hmm.
as Babalawo on the mat with this going on,
Hmm.
what would be the first thing that you would do?
What would be the first thing that I would do?
Mm-hmm.
Tell them to slow down and take a breath, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and let's talk about it, you know. What is it that's hurting and why? Because see, in IFA, what many people don't seem to embrace is that deliberation should occur, and I use should in quotation marks, before the Odu is even cast,
Mm-hmm.
before the Opale is cast, before the Odu is cast, before the Odu comes out. It's like, the priest is also like the psychologist or the therapist, is the holder of understanding, and not dictation. Well, go make an ebo, go do this and go do that. But
Mm-hmm.
that girl's over there getting ready to, cut her face, you know. So it's like, no, let's talk it down. And I've had to do that even as a social worker. I get called to the school. The girl locked herself in the bathroom and getting ready to cut herself up, all because her boyfriend don't love her no more, don't like her no more. Now to talk her down, you know. We have to learn to accept the hurt, you know, and embrace it, and try to get that individual, because for the most part it would be the mother that's bringing the child or concerned about the child.
Mm-hmm.
The child probably wouldn't come, by herself. So it's like, okay, mom, or okay, auntie, grandma, or dad, or whomever's there. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, really need to look at this, you know. So then, eh, go to Opole, or Dafa, and see flowers, colors, whatever kind of therapeutic uh, directive we can take. And if the child's like 16, or in that age range, I might say, well, please bring her, the next time that we meet.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes um, young people need to hear another voice and feel freer to talk with someone else besides their parents.
Yeah, sometimes absolutely. So they don't feel like there's a bias,
Yeah, yeah.
opinion or something going on.
So that's what I would do, on reflex. You know.
Mm-hmm. As an epitome, me, what I would do as a mother and Ia practicing,
Hmm.
you know, I would too offer her or suggest for her to slow down and to
Hmm.
sit with why she's feeling the way that she's feeling.
Yeah.
So that we can figure out, like what is it that's so tough, so hard and
Hmm.
about what they're telling you. Well, like in this sense, I
Hmm.
know it would be tough to be
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, they're telling you about, you know, your anatomy, to break your virginity,
Hmm.
and that this must be witnessed. There must be a witness of blood, and all of these different things. If
Hmm.
I was the ear that she had came to, that would be a tough one.
Well,
That
it depends on what time frame you're in, okay? Because see, that's basically how things, go, especially back in those days. And if you're going to marry a prince, you understand, and as a part of an arranged marriage, you best be a virgin. And the only way that that's really kind of proven is if, during the first time with sexual intercourse, you know,
mhm,
there is a breaking and there is blood as a result. And that's just traditional. That's like global. Now, no, we don't do it that much, if at all, over here. these days, but back in the day, and especially amongst the royalty and people of means,
Mm-hmm.
virginity was, like very, very important,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So again, especially in respect to an arranged marriage between uh, kingdoms. Now, that's not to say that, young people didn't find other ways to do whatever they wanted to do, but
Mm-hmm.
as a means, right? So, I mean, you even find it in IFA, traditionally in terms of the Oyo people,
Mm-hmm.
or basically any other people. So again, it's another area to study, to gain information about. We talk about, oh, we want to be African, and what I mean, we follow in the ways of our ancestors. But when it comes down to stuff like this, it's like, no, no, I don't think so. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a second wife or a third wife. Uh, I, I don't want my daughter to have to be a virgin before she marries. I don't want anybody checking to make sure that But you see what I'm saying? We want to do all these things, and as far as being ancestral and being, African and all of that. And I get it. I'm there myself. But I do realize that that's only, a fraction of what we're willing to make our reality.
You know what I noticed is
Mhm.
that I haven't much, I guess I just haven't got to the part yet in the story, but they don't speak much about the other kingdom or that family or that.
Oh, it comes up in later chapters.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and when I think about like what you just said as far as wanting to do things traditional, but then it's like they're picking and choosing of what
Yes.
part of the tradition that we
Yeah.
do. I know, like even for myself, coming into tradition and being told that I'm to only marry a babalao,
Mhm.
like I I can't date regular civil for the regular person anymore. They have
Mhm.
to be a babalao or a practicing awo, coming
Mhm.
into the
Mhm.
practice of something like that, you
Mhm.
know, and to receive it in dafa, like, okay, this is a part of my destiny. This is a part of my tefa. This is what came down into it.
Mhm.
So I'll follow along with it. But then to go through and wonder like, okay, well, what is it within the dafa, like what is it within marrying a babalao that's
Mhm.
so this and that's so important, and then
Mhm.
having to learn that it's because you want to marry somebody that won't take from what it is that you're establishing, like you won't take from somebody that won't bring in imbalance
Yeah.
to what it is that you're establishing, because your destiny consists of age, consists of wealth, things like that. And
Mhm.
so if I'm not going to marry outside of the tradition, and I choose somebody that's, I don't know, a Muslim or something, then they'll probably knock me off my square, or be like, get that stuff out of here and quit practicing this and that or something. But yeah, so I do understand it. And two, when it comes to being like a first or second wife, there's a whole lot of things that come with that as well, because I've been down that path myself, so I
Mhm.
understand that. But it's so crazy to hear that a co-wife would
Mhm.
be plotting on
Yeah.
her husband's child, her sister's child
Yeah.
rather,
Well, yeah,
her
happens
own
all
daughter.
happens all the time. You know what I mean? Um, Not all polygamous unions are, you know, utopic. You know what I mean? Oh, we all just get along. No, people are people. It's hard enough dealing with one wife, or there being one woman in the house. It's hard sometimes just living by yourself, you know? So
Mhm.
if we're going to keep adding on like more people, you know, without having a structure and without like kind of taking into consideration that people are going to be people regardless of what kind of situation, what kind of social structure that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
But it just so happens that Ujib, the second wife, she's upset. Okay. And what we'll find out later on is she's upset because she has sons from the king who are
Mm-hmm.
older than Amina, and she feels as though her sons should take the throne upon the death of their father, the king, Adefemi. So not only has this young thing come in and kind of bumped everybody to the side,
Yeah.
got the king's attention, but oh, now she got this beautiful glowing daughter,
Mm-hmm.
who the king is just all into. So yeah, we got some issues with that, you know. So Ujib takes it upon herself to uh to lash out, to seek revenge, and she does it real sneaky like, you know.
Yes.
She
Yes.
she goes for Amina, you know. So that's betrayal.
Hmm. So okay. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So now, what I think about now is if Amina goes down that other path, if
Mhm.
Amina does um, fall for the trap that
Mhm.
Ujib has for her, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
In Ifa as Iawos or Babalawos, right? When we're doing Dafa, that will be considered EB, that's off of the destiny, right?
Okay. Yes.
Would you say so? And then,
Mhm.
and then to know that she is going to run off,
Mhm.
right? And that, like in the previous chapters, she obviously has a calling
Yeah.
that's much higher
Mhm.
than marrying to be bringing two kingdoms together,
Right.
is much higher than that,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And that calling that she has is to be a vessel for Baluku.
Yes.
Is it still seen as EB? Is it still seen as
I
being out?
understand what you're saying. I do. I do. And this is where we see that night brings day and day also brings night. And that the difference between E-ray and EB is not cut and dry, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on your level of perception. But, you know, we try to prevent war. We try to prevent hurt and harm. So
Yes.
in this case, if Amina had sat down with Faloye, because Faloye continually tries to get Ifa into the heads of these people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you can't say, but just because we had billions of ancestors that all of them were listening to Ifa.
Right.
They were people just like we're people now. Some listen and did what they're supposed to do, and most don't. Most
True.
don't even consult.
There's so yeah, they don't consult. They
Mhm.
don't consult, and then when they do get the consultation, they ask questions that they don't want answers to, and then now they want to manipulate
Exactly.
manipulate the question to get a different answer.
Right. To suit their agenda, to suit their purpose. But see,
Mm-hmm.
that's every priest and priestess should know that. And just sometimes just a little teaspoon of honey, because
Mm-hmm.
people can and often do change over time.
Yeah.
You know? The Odu and Ifa not magical. You know what I mean? And it's not miracle. It's hard work on,
Mm-hmm.
on the part of the people who come for consultations and on the part of the Olorishas and the Awos. It's just not, oh, here's the Odu, now do this and do that. Okay, see you later. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
it's a process. So I'm more in tune with what you just stated, which is brilliant, by the way, is
Mm-hmm.
that even outside of the Odu. And I know I can get into a little, trouble saying this, but trouble is my middle name. All right. That the Odu will just keep us on a path or keep us aware of the changes and challenges that we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes even the Bible I would say that there's something beyond this, but I can't really share it at this time, or I don't really see it, but I feel it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that you're going through all this now, but there's a greater purpose. You
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a greater purpose, and of course, no one's going to realize it. At least not right off, and at least not one divination. And at least not one offering or one whatever. We're still looking for miracles and somebody to come down and make life right for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a climb. Everybody wants the view, but nobody wants to climb to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's kind of in a hazy kind of space right now, you know. But we know from reading the first two chapters where this is all leading to. It's like a circle that we're making.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. For
So,
sure.
hmm
So it all has a greater purpose, and we're gonna
uh,
you're gonna learn why. You're gonna learn why. Let me get this back where it's supposed to be.
in spite of what we go through, we have
Mhm.
a greater purpose.
Yes. Okay. One more thing before we get off of this passage,
All
right?
right, not a problem.
Is the idea that people will divine on your behalf. Now, usually when people are born, usually like when babies are born, we get the Ishatan. I wonder if they had made a dafa for her, for Princess Amina, you
Hmm.
know, if this was in her destiny for her to do this, right?
Hmm.
Or if they were even prepared for it, you
Right.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If they were prepared for it, did Faloye, because I believe he is the Babalo, right?
Yes, he is. Hmm.
Yes, so I wonder if he had warned,
Hmm.
or had he have warned them that your daughter's going to give you some pushback, and it's gonna make sense why she's doing this.
Hmm.
You know, would all of this have been going on? Because in this time and day, like in my time as a priestess and coming into IFÀ ISESE, like that's what we do. We're gonna get the baby
Hmm.
Shaitan so that they have their destiny for them.
Hmm.
But then there's some of us who come into the tradition.
Hmm.
We're like 25 years old and we're getting it late. And
Hmm.
now we have to play catch up and, things of that matter. And so we're already off of our destiny. And so we have to do this and do that to get back on.
Hmm.
So if this was shown to them, I wonder had they still been pushing for her to marry despite it, like most people do when they get a dafa. They be like, no, we're talking about kingdoms here. We're talking about
Hmm.
legacy. We're talking about the future for us as a nation. We're
Hmm.
not. We're going to ignore what that dafa said,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then Foloyo is in jail. Adefemi's in jail. He's not thinking that he is who he is supposed to be anymore. He's thinking that he done fell off course and now he's not good enough. He's inadequate. Like in the first chapter, he was going
Oh,
through that imprisonment. He was
Adefemi wasn't in prison.
not the king was. The king was.
No,
No,
Adefemi imprisoned for Loye.
okay,
But the
okay.
king was not in prison. The king had gone mad. The king was just roaming around the palace like he was sick in the head.
Oh yeah, correct. You're right.
The
You're
king
right.
gone mad.
Yes, that's
Second
right.
chapter. Yeah,
Foloye was in prison. They
yeah,
had put him in prison. Correct.
right.
Yeah, but
Adefemi,
because he wanted to go to war, and
right.
Oloye was trying to warn him about going to war.
About not doing it. So that kind of answers your question in a sense. But I like what you pointed out about what we call stepping into the world. Ikoshe aye.
Hmm.
Uh, when the child is born. Now remember, Maremi was a lesser wife.
Mm.
They're not going to divine for every baby that comes through the lesser wives.
Mm.
Now, it might have been divine for uh, uh, if she was the senior wife and everybody knew that she was the only child and the princess and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Moremi, her mother, was, just some pretty young thing that the king was like, okay, you know what I mean? I got you. And so they got together. She gets pregnant, has a baby. It's not like a royal thing. The king had many babies by many wives.
Mm-hmm.
So and as I'm writing it, I didn't even see where she would even be given that privilege.
Then,
You know what I mean? She's just another baby of the king, and a girl at that. You know, because
mm-hmm.
the boys were already there, and the boys would have taken over the kingship. Upon the death of their father.
Mm-hmm.
So she was just another little baby girl, but her brilliance and her radiance, whatever came with her, was like working on folks. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everything was changing up. So, in closing, if she did have Dafa, let's just say if she did have it, and there was that understanding, based on the insights of the Babylao,
Mm-hmm.
it probably wouldn't have changed anything. The king is still the king, and the alliances still need to be made. The arranged marriage would still, happen, or at least be set to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so even when we look at enslavement, for example, in all ways, shapes, and forms. You don't think like Babalaos were getting together and trying to come up with Odu to stop this, or get it? You understand, or tell the
Mm-hmm.
kings don't get involved with these European peoples. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because they up to no good. You understand? It's like, yeah, but folks want power and
Yeah.
money, and like Amina, they want to do what they want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and they're grown.
Mm-hmm. True.
You
That's true.
see.
Mm-hmm.
But so all we can do as priests and priestesses is basically the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just keep doing the best. Just keep doing the best that we can. We know what we're up against. That's
Yes.
why it's called war and resurrection.
Mm-hmm. You hit on something when you said when people when it comes down to you know wanting to, but
Speak up. Speak up.
I said it makes a lot of sense. It makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. It
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense. Queen Moremi embraced her daughter and she spoke to her. In my homeland, the elder women tell of a girl who fell in love with a handsome young man she happened to meet at a festival. Though warned repeatedly to not involve herself with him, she didn't listen. After several weeks, he lured her into the deep forest. Once there, he cast he cast off his handsome disguise. Underneath, he was a grotesque evil spirit. The girl was never seen or heard of again.
Wow.
Don't we hear that a lot?
Too much. And everyone is as tragic as the next.
Mhm. Endless.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, come on, baby girl, don't. You online. You know what I mean? You got these strange guys. All up in your head, and you know con- persuading you to run away, and you know what I mean, come be with them, and blah blah blah, and it's like, wow. And next thing you know, so and so is missing. Have you seen my daughter? Missing.
Yeah.
And then go on her Facebook page or web page, or whatever social media, find out she's having conversation with some old raggy dude, you know,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
she's like 13 years old. It's like,
Mhm. Mhm.
but see, none of this is fantasy, and that's when people kind of read the book. Oh, this is fiction. I'm like, no, no, it's not. It's nonfiction dressed up as fiction.
Yes.
At the core, I'm a black man, you know, who's lived in many places amongst my people and who's traveled, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I published this book in 2015. I became an IFÀ priest in 1991. So, I've been divining and working and working the streets and schools in the hood and all of that. I know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And the spirit that possesses me when I write, or when it writes me or writes through me, knows what I'm talking about and knows the people whom I'm delivering this message to.
I
The-
apologize. I apologize. There's been people. I just wanted to greet them. I don't mean to cut you off.
oh, no, no, please greet the people.
I don't want to greet. I don't want to ignore them. So, Abora
Oh,
Boye,
okay, okay.
Ade, Oloye, Karade, the other
Adiola.
characters,
Yeah.
Adiola.
Mm-hmm.
Greetings to them. So, I just
All
wanted to make sure that they knew that we acknowledged them.
right. Anybody else?
She said, "Was this Amina's destiny? Did her Ori choose this for her?" That's what I was saying. Was it hers? Because
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Now I see it. It's not coming up in the studio chat.
it did
People.
it. It didn't. I had to go and click it. I
All
should have
right.
put it to comments on stage,
All right.
but
So, what was this Amina's destiny? Well,
mhm.
yes, yes. But see, that's another thing, and it's good question, Adeola. Every Babalao or Ialao or the Babalarisha, Ilarisha, and all that, they can divine and come up with a kind of Ori understanding. But there are understandings and, for lack of a better word, things happening even beyond it,
Mhm.
even beyond it. And that takes time to filter down.
That does take time. I
It
agree with you.
takes time. And not everybody can get to their destiny, if I call it as you stated, you know.
Mhm.
And some will rebel against it, like Amina is doing. She doesn't know she's rebelling against her destiny. She doesn't know she has this. Okay, because remember, this is 3 months before she got sent away and met with Baluku, and even with Baluku, she's still kind of rebellious against that God force.
Yeah,
Why
she was.
did you
She
do this?
was.
Why did you
Yeah,
do
she
that?
was. She was.
And I don't want to do this, and it wasn't my fault. My father. So but see, that's the point of the book. The book is to show that it's not a la di da thing. This thing called Ifa. You know, it's not a parade. This thing called Isheshe. And
Mm,
those of us who are involved, we need to have our sleeves rolled up,
yeah.
because see, this is work.
Hmm.
And it might look good. Well, this is your destiny, and the Bible out told me this. Yeah, but see, now it all has to be worked out. It has to be navigated. It has to be nurtured. It has to be protected.
Hmm.
You see?
True. And a lot of times we are not even skilled or prepared for those things.
Exactly.
And that's another reason why I also give thanks again that I'm doing this with you and having your assistance to help guide and navigate this, because it's not just me that's receiving it. It's being live. Other people are receiving it. We're
Yeah.
reading it together. And that's why I'm happy to be reading it, because we need people like within our communities, like elders of council, that type of thing, to be able to bring about another level of understanding, to see things, how to prepare for it, how to know what to happen. We're not just going to get dressed up and get these titles and pay for titles and not know what to do whenever somebody does come to the mat with real life scenarios, because because we're not because we're not just like one lane. There's people
Yeah.
from all type of backgrounds, from the hood,
Right.
from different cultures, different experiences and paths and walks of life, today, that are
Hmm.
experiencing things, and we need to know what to do whenever they come, or how we're going to take care of it.
Right.
And
And
even if we can't get through it with IFA, still got to have a means to communicate, to reach them in the
Yeah.
depths spiritually.
Right.
Because, like Amina,
Mm-hmm.
sh it was Sukanamani, shoot, yeah,
Cynical money. Mm-hmm.
Sinakumani, as much as the community, the village looked upon him
Mm-hmm.
as a high priest, a teacher, she was like, "You people are stupid." He couldn't get through to her,
Right.
even with his wisdom and his
Right.
pace, like his tone or anything like that. His delivery couldn't reach her,
Right.
and she ended up with Baluku.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up going through that, and even Baluku had to breathe life into her
Right.
for her to get it. So sometimes our Ori is just so far off, and and it takes certain drastic extremes
Yeah.
to occur that it doesn't happen. We don't get it until that happens. So hopefully, some of us can help get people on the right path without those drastic means occurring.
Well, that's why the Ori is subdivided. You understand? It's not just the Ori, you know.
True,
It's divided into at least three major parts, within IFÀ and ISESE, you know.
true. I'm glad you said that.
So people are still like in the Ori Ode, phase. And when they read, like, say, this book, and if they're reading it from the outer mind,
Hmm.
they're going to have one perception of it. It's going to be, more worldly, more concrete.
Hmm.
They're not going to see as much the the messages behind it. Now, what we're doing is we're opening up a pathway, if you will, for the Ori Inu to shine through. And now we're reading it more like in depth and insightful. We're seeing it as allegorical, you know. It's,
Hmm.
Oloye is just not writing this like, a children's story or a young adult story, or just an escapism story, where everybody just needs to feel good, you know.
Hmm.
It's like,
Hmm.
no, I'm the bitter medicine. Okay,
Mm.
it's more potent.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder, to not only taste but to swallow. But
Hmm.
it's necessary. I know it's necessary. You know. So here we have at least two levels: the Oriole Day and the Ori Inu, and then we have the third level, which I like to call the Ori Isheshe, and that's the level that's more connected with the divine,
Hmm.
and that's where I write from. I write from the Ori Isheshe. I'm the messenger of the Odu through this.
Hmm.
How are we breathing the Odu into life? It's not easy. Let's get that straight. People won't want to listen. They have their own agendas, their own motivations,
Yeah.
and that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. But those of us who are deeply into Ifani Sheshe need to do more than just recite and Odu, okay?
Hmm.
Just have people scaring off, to make offerings and all of that. Yeah, that's okay, but it's surface level,
Yeah.
you know. How you gonna have the person love the Orisha, and again, here I go with being the trouble man, and you don't even love the people who are coming to sit at the mat.
Hmm.
You know, there are groups of babalaos, and I'm going to say this, with barreled brow, who identify the people who come to them as clients. And
Yeah.
I've only recently heard that term, and it upsets me. I'll be right honest with you.
Hmm.
You come to me for divination, and I'm just looking at you as a client.
Yes.
You understand that there's something about somebody being a client that doesn't ring the same as someone being a seeker or someone, being of spiritual worth and value,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I truly feel as though that lessens the priest, you know. So everybody who comes to you is a client. What are you talking about? I never heard anything like that before in my life.
Yeah.
But I understand that that's what a lot of the young bloods are talking about. That's how they been. But I'm no, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
feeling.
Mm-hmm. Because it's a means of living for them. It's a
Uh, uh,
means of
it
it's
was
a
a means of living for people back in the day who were Bible House. But see, those Bible House back in the day, here we go back to cherry picking again, you know? Because
mm-hmm.
if the Bible House back in the day, the earnest ones, they weren't looking for material, growth by taking advantage of people.
No.
If oh no, 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 they were more like monks. You know what I mean? Like Shaolin Temple kind of people. You understand? They would take, if somebody offered money to help support them, they would take it, but they weren't out to like just get money from people for the sake of getting money.
Mm-hmm.
And all the older Babalawos would tell you that even if a person couldn't afford the Ebo and a means came about to help that person, that they would do it for them because they were doing it from their hearts.
Shh.
They were doing it from their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Get paid in other ways other than money. And true priests and priestesses, I feel as though know that.
Yeah, they do.
So, I need to get off that road because, I, you know,
We'll be there. We'll
we
be there.
talk about that that whole thing at another time. But
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying is, yeah. So yeah, you can make your money, but how much money do you need to make? And then what do you do in order to get that money?
Mm-hmm.
You know. And I realize that there's a whole lot of people out there like that in every religion. So I'm not like pointing the finger at us, but
Yeah.
I'm pointing the finger at what level are you on? What is your real intent?
Mm-hmm.
And if you really have faith in Ifa and Orisha, then build that faith and the goodness will come to you. Isn't
Mm-hmm.
that isn't that what you want the person who comes to you for divination
Right.
to do? Or you just want to have them, you know, kill a chicken and throw it out the window, you know, as they drive by. Oh, there's stuff like that going on too.
It is even today.
So all right. So but got to get back on track. All right. So here we go.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So now we are here
Mhm.
and we're with Baba Foloye. So, so wait, Baba Foloye says as he turned to the king, is it not our way to divine before sending royalty out beyond the palace walls? Amina rushed to respond, "Oh, Father, there's no time for such things. It's only a vacation to the beach. If we're truly powerful, what dangers could we face and not overcome? We've gotten Kankampo,
Kakambo,
Kankampo Ku,
Kuumbu.
Umbu. Okay, Kakampo or Umbu, the strongest royal protectors. Ujib is ever close, and Kiji is by my side. The princess is right, Ujib echoed. To avoid travel in the night, we'll cover ground by the day. There are several stations where we can rest and sleep. Surely there won't be any trouble.
Hmm.
Moved by his daughter's enthusiasm and feeling that her age of maturity had come, along with the reassuring words of his second wife, Arefemi bid the Babalao not to waste time with divination. Faloye sensed something was wrong, but he held his tongue. By his nature and duty, he'd do what must be what he must. He turned and gazed upon Queen Moremi. She didn't return his glance, nor did she speak.
Wow.
And that's just what I was asking earlier. Like, is it
Uh-huh.
not divine before things happen, you know? And we see that someone's being deceptive here.
Yep. Yep. So Ujib has worked it out so she and Amina can take a trip away from the palace without her father going and without her mother going. Now,
Mm,
it was all, like, well, she basically sexed the king up. She just threw herself all on him and got him to agree.
mm-hmm,
Amina is under the her whole young and in love thing, So Ujib is taking advantage of that. Okay, and
mm,
and now Kuumbu was going with them. Kuumbu, as we come to understand, he's the mighty one in this. He's the brother on the cover of the book. All right.
mm,
Yeah, he's the Kakamfo. He's the war chief. So all of this is happening. So why do we need divination? We got everything set. Everything is cool.
mm. Are
Everything,
we not strong enough?
huh?
Are we not strong enough? She said.
Yeah, are we not strong enough? Why are we bobbing with all this? I
Mm,
want to know. They don't even want to know what the divination is. And Ujib especially doesn't want it to happen because it's going to reveal that she is being wicked right now.
true. Yeah.
So they push for lawyer to the side.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that what we do with wisdom? You
Yeah.
know, we push it to the side because we want to do what we want to do and we want to do it the way we want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the lawyer just held his tongue. See, he holds his tongue now, but he didn't hold his tongue later. And you
Yeah.
see where he ended up as a result in prison.
Mm-hmm.
But now look at Moremi. Moremi is pissed. She ain't even looking to buy, and she did not speak. But as we read through the rest of the chapter, we see where betrayal gets even deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to give away too much, right?
Nope. 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 Nope.
But
I'm glad to see that Kiji is back. Right. I was looking for her.
well, remember Kiji. This is 3 months before, so
Oh,
Kiji been
true.
there.
I
All
forget.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So
True. True.
we're going through a little bit of what we call nonlinear time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I think this is the last one.
Yes, this is the last one.
All right.
Torches burned brightly, and the flames illumined, and Ojubo and all who entered into this place of earth, wood and stone. Oils of frankincense and myrrh laden the air with purifying smoke, and heavily scented into and heavenly scented the entire area. Tell me, Foloye, what do the Iking reveal? Is there witchcraft upon us? Is my daughter in harm's way? What can we do to end this? Queen Moremi asked. Her voice trembled with anger and fear. Hearing her concerns, the old Babalao sat and pulled sacred objects from his opal. He then invoked Orunmila, the god of divination. The clattering of his iroke added timbre and rhythm to sacred erosons his chanted. He then placed the keen in his hands and divined with them. With steady fingers, he drew the sacred markings on the ope. I think it should be opan. On the opan. The
Mm-hmm.
Odu Ifa is Osa Owarren, he stated in whispered exhalation.
Exhalation. Uh-huh. Right. That should be your pawn. I wonder where happened. All right. Go ahead.
Arumila speaks. Yes, witchcraft is here. An evil cloth covers the royal family. A member of the family brings evil, but you mustn't retaliate against her. The struggle mustn't become personal, as there are forces here that eclipse the ways of mortals. The spirits of the dead bring understanding and change. Let them have their way, let them do what they must. Arumala will intervene to fight the witches. Let the gods do what they must. My queen, keep your composure. Anger mustn't lead you. The wicked will be unveiled, and you mustn't be among them.
Mm,
Sacrifice doves and palm oil to Arumala, and a he goat to Eshu. Wash your head each night with shea butter and the fluid of snails. Queen Moremi had the verification she needed. Envy had clearly deepened Ujib's mind, but for her to go this far was a destructive act that would impact the entire region for generations to come. It was more than treacherous, it was pure evil.
wow.
So I'm glad that Queen Moremi did go and get a Dafa, but I wish that she
Mhm.
had got it done faster.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
Go.
that you mentioned
Mm,
this Odu in it as well.
yeah, yeah. Go back to where it says, right before it says the Odui Fa.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and go back and make that, yeah, change that. Yeah. Sometimes working with these machines, they don't recognize the word. Sometimes they'll change it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But that's a good catch. So now we have, we're bringing in Odus to it.
Mm-hmm.
The first two chapters we had an Odu for Loye. Did the Odu? He sees Oshun and da da da. He travels.
Right.
Right now here, Moremi is like there's something up. you know, I
Mm-hmm.
she has that intuition thing happening.
Mm-hmm.
But she just doesn't rely on intuition. She goes for Dafa. You know, and again, the verses that I pick for the Odu and the situation that I choose that the Odu speak of,
Uh-huh.
as I'm writing this, it's all research. It's nothing that I made up. This is actually in that Odu. Every
Really?
time I cite the Odu in this book, it is actually from the IFA corpus.
Ashe.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
see, just like any and every other religion that weaves its biblical or
Yes.
all into literature, from movies to anime to comic books to whatever,
Mm-hmm.
everything speaks culturally, of a religious, bearing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have somebody with a statement.
Not seeking wisdom even to your own detriment.
Hmm.
Exactly. To your own. She's just like, be gone with all of that. I don't
Or Nina and
Mhm.
yeah,
Be gone. All of them, really. Be gone with all of that.
yeah.
I want what I want.
I
Absolutely.
want what I want.
And it's even sad that even the elder, the senior wife, her ignoring what should be done for her child before she leaves out. Like, while I can sit here and, for me, when I'm reading, I can sit here and think like, oh, Amina is far off of her array. She is far off of her path. It seems like there's more than her. She got Adefemi is not thinking,
Right.
way. Neither of the queens are thinking the way that they should be. Everybody is all self-censored
Well,
and not thinking.
but Marimi is thinking the right way. And when people read the chapter, they're gonna see that Maremi is like, well, and we even brought it up in one of the areas that you highlighted. You know, Maremi is like she's not feeling Ujib. She's not feeling her at all. The
Yeah.
insidious smile, she sees Ujib as a rival,
Mm,
and so she knows something is up. But she didn't speak because what the king says is what the king says. If the king says she can go, then she can
yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Moremi does meet secretly with
Yes.
the Babalau.
Yeah. Yes. She just didn't say anything at the time.
She didn't say anything at the time. Why? She just stand there and pat her foot. You know what I mean? She's just standing there. She's not looking at anybody. She's not speaking, you know?
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
As we find out later in the chapter, when she confronts her husband about it, well, we
Yeah.
know what happens then.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. But we're not going to say because people won't have to read it.
I really do admire how you did drop that Odu in here. Even how you said the torches burned brightly and the flames illumined the Ajubo and all who entered into the place of earth, wood, and stone. Like all of the elements are
Yeah,
being, described here, and this is before consulting Ifa. You had to set that atmosphere,
yeah,
and it's something just you know something tells me to just share or speak that part of it, because somebody might find this video and they're just like, well, what is this about? This is about a book. What is it, Ifa? What is all of this about? And
hmm,
so if you're coming in new, he is simply um, depicting here like what it looks like to open up altar space, what it looks like to open up a sacred space to consult with spirit
yes,
and divine in different ways. So he's using the oils of frankincense and myrrh, and he's burning it. And that smoke also simplifies things, because in most cases, whenever you're about to open up the space, you want water in your atmosphere, you want fire, you want earth, air. You got to get all four elements there present while you're there to invoke it. And then he consults with Ifa to deliver a message for Queen Moremi. So I just really admire that part of it, especially when you say Osawa Warren, like those who are really interested in learning about the Odu
hmm,
from a pragmatic standpoint or whatnot, just learning it, seeing it,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Um,
And that's a whole part of what I've phrased as the battle cry of a movement here, and that is a pragmatic approach to Ifa philosophy. You know, how do we see this in life, and then how do we enhance a better life as a result of the knowledge that we are gaining? You know, every time a little something happens, it's not you know impossible to find balance in,
mhm.
but there's going to be pain. People want to grow without you know uh, s- experiencing growth. How you going to grow without experiencing growth?
Mhm.
And all that growth is it's not going to be pretty.
I
It's
mean,
be
that's
rough.
even just like giving birth. Even to give birth, it requires that labor, requires the stretching of to conceive and then go into the whole process of
Yeah,
body changing,
yeah,
weight gain and all of that. It comes with some pain, some
yeah.
sacrifice. Yeah.
Baby crying all night. You understand what I'm saying? You got to
Mhm.
take care. You have to make quote unquote sacrifices for your child.
Mhm.
Your children. You know, so it's all there. It's all there. But we again we're looking for what I like to say, but dislike to say is the easy road. Well, if we just do everything outside of ourselves, we're gonna be blessed. But no, you got to do things inside of yourself,
Mhm.
and that's why it's called a journey. You know, it's not called a ride. You know what I mean? It's called a spiritual journey.
Mhm.
I want to call it religion because you don't want to be, but then when you act like it's a religion, but
Yeah.
when you take up a journey, you better be willing to grow.
Mhm.
That might mean leaving people. That might mean, forging your own way. That might mean for all that you burning sage and frankincense and myrrh and all of that, to dispel negativity, you don't want to be the negativity.
That's getting up out of here. I know that's right.
You know what I mean? You doing all that and you still got wicked stuff going on in your head and in your heart. Oh, but I'm clearing the space for for positivity. Well, the only thing that's not positive in here is you.
Mhm. That's true. It's so interesting.
You
That
know?
I like how it talks about um, the sacrifices and what must be
Yeah,
sacrificed, like sacrifice of doves, palm oil to a rumila, and a he goat to a shoe. Wash
yeah,
your hair each night with shea butter and fluid of snails.
yeah,
And it makes me think about those who may not even have access to those things or cannot afford to get those things. If they don't get them, well, um, the fear that comes behind that and how we view it as a religion.
yeah, yeah. And that's unfortunate, you know. The fear part, you know, because you know, it's like when you go to the doctor and you have some strange disorder, you know, and the doctor says, well, you got 6 months to live,
Hmm.
you know, but in order to do that, you got to take this medicine, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and then you say, well, I'm not really going with that. There's a spirit inside of me that says I can extend my lifespan.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna do something else. But thank you for the information.
Yes.
Okay. And then
Hmm.
there's people who it said, well, they told me I had 6 months to live, and here it is 6 years later, and I'm still here.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
because I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that. You know, and I don't even take their medicines anymore.
Hmm.
So there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a prescription, like any other medicinal practice. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People get, oh, the gods ain't gonna believe. Well, what are you talking about? The gods ain't gonna believe. We just finished like 500-600 years of slavery. Who was blessing us or not blessing us then? Okay, we
Hmm.
we go through stuff every day in this country and around the world. It's not that we're not being blessed. It's that we're just not channeling the blessings because we're fearful or we don't know how to take it in a way that strengthens us and not again enslaves us.
Hmm.
Well, if you don't do it, then something terrible is going to happen to you. Something terrible going to be happen to you if you do it. It might not be what you came there to get to die for, but it could be something else if you let your guard down.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I look at it. You know,
Hmm. And then Ifa told her, well, the Odu told her not to retaliate against her.
exactly.
The spirits of the dead bring understanding and change.
Yeah.
That's deep to me, especially knowing that she came in contact with Baluku.
Who had contact? No,
No,
Marie didn't have.
not Queen Morimi, but her daughter later on.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So on that, what we're going to find is we can, finish the chapter. People who have the book, and people who have read the book, if you recall, Moremi doesn't listen, and it's not that she doesn't listen. You're right, Adeola. But it's that fear that brings it. Exactly. You know, now you scared of your own shadow, and you're trying to be in. Like, come on now. You know. But Moremi. And I pose this question: say your daughter is got her little boyfriend or whatever, and
Hmm.
and and you always see her crying, you know, and one day you see a mark on her.
Hmm.
Oh, look at the eyebrows. Okay, so you go for divination, and divination, and the Babalawo says, well, don't get upset, don't respond, in a way that's going to cause trouble, make your elbow and all that. And then you go home,
Hmm.
and he's sitting up in there with his feet on the table, and his daughter, you know, sitting there with her head in her hands, and you move her hands, and she got a black eye. Oh, you gonna f him up?
Yeah,
Okay,
no elbow for that.
right.
I
Yeah,
am the elbow at the time.
and we were now you coining me. I am the E Day. I am the elbow. I'm the one who's going to do and you do what you need to do. That's your child. You understand? But see, this is the pragmatic approach. This is facing the reality. So the Odu says, well, don't respond in anger. Let things work out. But then you have to go back to your house.
Mm-hmm.
You have to confront this issue. And you're gonna look at him, oh well, the Odu said I shouldn't do anything. So, we just gonna chill. I made my elbow and left it in the park or wherever. And so everything's gonna be okay. I'm like, come on, people. Come on. You know, see it as part of your growth, not overshadowing you and placing you in some kind of Catholic, fear of God and hell and purgatory if you don't satisfy God and all that kind of stuff. That's some bullshit. We have to come up out of that
Mm-hmm.
and see this as a prescription, as a means to better ourselves, not in totality, but in part. We can't do away with ourselves
Mm-hmm.
because of IFÀ ISESE. We can enhance ourselves because of IFÀ ISESE. That's the teachings.
Ashe.
That's the teachings of a pragmatic approach
Mm.
to IFÀ and ISESE.
Well, this is good. This is good. That's a great ending, I would say. Oh, was that the end of the passages that we had that we wanted to cover?
Yeah. They're
That
gonna have
was
to see what happens. We got how many more pages to end this chapter?
uh,
Got up to chapter 48. Did I see Sister Robin, the Ear?
pages up to 48. I did see someone by the name of Robin.
Yeah, well, just give her peace and blessings, my sister. Peace and
Bora Boye.
yeah, okay.
Bora Boye. Thank you for coming in and joining. Thanks for being here, you all.
So that kind of closes out
Mm-hmm.
bringing in betrayal in love.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it as the chapter continues. Go back to 3, huh?
Yes.
Don't start trying to peep into chapter 4. Don't. I see you.
Okay.
But see, that's the beauty of the book, because now we want to see what goes on.
What's gonna happen next?
Yeah, and we find out that Asukile, the love thing that's happening, the young love thing that's happening between him and the Princess Amina is all a setup. It's all a setup, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
in spite of the warnings from the motherhood, in spite of the Oduifa from the Babalao, things just have to play out. And Amina has got to learn over time and experience who she truly is. And isn't that what we all have to do?
Mm-hmm. True. Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a saying in Ifa Isheshe,
Mm-hmm.
Te na Kiotun Ra Eshe. Once you've been initiated, you must continually reinitiate yourself.
Yeah.
It's not done with one initiation. I don't care if it's just your elekes. You have to keep going through it. And in this particular instance, it is about continually resurrecting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The changes and challenges of life and love and the betrayals that we've all experienced, okay,
Mm-hmm.
they have to be faced and just seen as fuel for our growth. We can't drown in it, you know? We can't become vindictive and bitter because of it.
Mm-hmm.
We must strive to just see it for what it is,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then move upwardly, you know? towards our continual birth, rebirthing, and growth. Other than that, we stay stuck. We stagnate in the quicksand. And the
Mm-hmm.
more we struggle, the deeper we sink. You know,
Mm-hmm.
who's that?
Alafia, that's
Yeah, up, yeah.
a friend of
Right.
mine. That's my family, actually.
Okay,
My whole
beautiful.
family, Ashe. Thank you for bringing, for coming. And then we have Miss Quarter, Ashe, Ashe, Oduboy. Thank you.
And so the book is a teacher of life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and for all of the wisdom and even the elders that are among us, we still have to forge our own individual path. You know, and we still have to take those hits. This is a thing called life. You know, it's a thing called life, and our involvement in Ifani Sheshe, again, should not lead to the abandonment of ourselves. That is purely Catholic. That is purely Abrahamic. And
Mm-hmm.
they oppose the chains of that on us. Slaves obey your master kind of thing, or your kingdom is in heaven, while we stealing all your minerals and diamonds and subjecting you to a subhuman status, but you just keep looking towards heaven, and I'm not, trying to like, you know, see it from a like political kind of movement kind of thing. I'm seeing it as reality. That's real, you know. And so we find these sheshe, for those of us who have embraced it, we need to see it as a part of our liberation, liberating our minds, our bodies, our spirits, our souls, you know. And through literature, my path, my expression, after being a diviner, you know, for 30, 40 years, you know, or studying and writing on this subject, it became clear to me, and it remains clear to me, that we have to take it up to another level, you know. And she's right. No one gets out alive, you know, of this thing called life. But while we're living, we can outlive our death. You know, we can outlive our death. We can outlive the things that are killing us. You know, we can outlive the people who want us dead. It takes a fight. You know, and like any on any battlefield, not all of us make it. Some of us come out wounded because it is a battle. That's why it's war and resurrection. It's a war. Ifani, Sheshe, they're shields and spears and swords, you know. But we will defend ourselves, you know, and we will fight for what is rightfully ours, starting with our own very lives. Okay. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad that we were able to come talk about this, and I want to bring this to a close. And
Okay.
mm,
So we have one more chapter before we're gonna let go. Unless
uh,
we have people who want more, I guess you'll have to put it out for a vote or whatever. But uh, next week will be the last week. Chapter 4.
mm-hmm.
There's 21 chapters in the book, my people. 21 chapters in the book, and I encourage you to get it. You know, not for the sake of sales, but for the sake of an inward journey to one's salvation.
Yeah. And I want to encourage anyone who does get the book to let us know so we can all come back here and gather again and learn some more if we can. Arisha love.
Okay.
Ashe. Ashe. Thank you, Taisha. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Asia as well.
Naisha.
I share to you too.
Okay, Naisha. All right. So
Wonderful.
we are on the move.
That's right. We will. So we have one more chapter, chapter four. Chapter four will be on Sunday.
Yeah.
On Sunday, three
Mm,
o'clock Central Standard Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time,
all right.
1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, wherever you are. And I'll be sending out links to that as well. And join the discussion. We're still here. The video will be uploaded, YouTube, Facebook. So join the discussion. Let us know what you guys get from everything. You got
Well,
any last words?
yeah, yeah. Does anyone have any closing comments or questions or
Yeah.
insights about the book? Those of you who have read it,
Mm-hmm.
as an outro, as we would call it. Okay. The floor is open.
Thanks to my uncle for joining. My uncle is really cool. Thanks again. He's always into this type of stuff. He's a
All
really,
right.
really, he's really deep into literature.
All right. Well,
Deep
we're gonna
into
make
it.
sure he gets a copy of the book, right?
Yeah, so he can connect with us too. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and close it, and we'll see you guys next week. Dabo.
No doubt.
All right.